lightning sure is scary, huh? 300 million volts of pure tickle juice hitting you all at once doesn't sound too pleasant. Luckily, whatever's going on outside is just a storm, so we should be fine. But all of this, of course, has me thinking of Mario Galaxy 2.
What is considered the greatest 3D Mario game. Absolutely flawless. Nothing but a grand step up from the first, with even better, triumphant music, and perfectly crafted level design. I don't like it as much as the first. I don't hate it, but I don't think it's the masterpiece everybody makes it out to be. Now, is that an offensive opinion? Sure. Smite me. Galaxy 2. A game so great and influential, Nintendo left it out of their anniversary collection. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong, Galaxy 2 is a good game. In fact, it's a great game. It's true what they say about the level design and ideas here. They're some of the best in the entire series. And although it definitely doesn't sound like it, I do actually prefer this game compared to Sunshine, seeing both of them as A-tier Mario games. Where Sunshine was that C student in school where you were just happy past the class, Galaxy 2 is proof that it could be something amazing, but just doesn't quite reach its full potential. If you do some looking around on the box of this one, you'll see that this is a 2 next to the name, meaning it's a sequel. And as a sequel, you're supposed to take everything great about the first and make it better, while cleaning up whatever didn't work before. Not pointing fingers or naming names. The sling pods. But in Galaxy 2, it feels like they took some good about the first and made it even better, while taking other stuff that was good and threw it in the trash and lit it on fire. Yeah, it's my hot take of the century. Galaxy 2 takes 1 step forward, but 2 steps back compared to the first. They added a whole lot of great stuff in this game. Yoshi, new power-ups, Lubba. And although I left this game happy I played it, I mean, come on, it's a 3D Mario, I just couldn't shake the feeling that there was massive wasted potential here. And nothing better illustrates that point than by looking how each game begins. See, in Galaxy 1, it takes its sweet time in the start, and I'm all there for it. You're given backstory on the Star Festival, and open on Mario running his little Italian butt over there with beautiful scenery and music. You've subtly learned the controls as you're led to Peach's castle, and along the way you get to soak in the festival and see the entire Mushroom Kingdom celebrating. But to absolutely no one's surprise, Bowser shows up crashing the party! This happens so regularly, it's a wonder why there isn't a Toad Secret Service by now.
Okie approaching the princess! Target is in range! Target is hostile! Take the shot!
Bowser does give his usual blarb blarb speech, but everything feels so much more heightened and cinematic due to the time it took to build up to this moment. And for the first time, inclusion of cutscenes. Good cutscenes.
Junior?
Mario goes to do his Mario thing, but psych, this is the beginning of the story, he freaking dies. And where the second game's already shot you into the first level and Miyamoto's holding a gun to your head and telling you to start jumping around, Galaxy 1 takes this time to slow down, not afraid of being quiet, and letting you soak in the atmosphere. You're not thrown into a galaxy, this isn't even a level. You just have to run around on this planet to catch some bunnies. And on comes my favorite track from this entire game. It's not a grand orchestra, it's just a quiet, melancholic song, embodying this entire game's tone. There's fun platforming and thrilling levels later on, but this moment is special. There are no moments like this in Galaxy 2, and for some, platforming and great levels are all they need, and that's perfectly fine. But for me, Galaxy 2 is missing the key that made Galaxy 1 what it was. Emotion. The first game made me feel things. Wonder at the beauty of the Star Festival, isolation on this lone planet, determination to help these Lumas and save the Comet Observatory, sadness, that's right, sadness for Rosalina's tragic backstory. Shoot, it even makes Bowser almost scary. Galaxy 1 takes upwards of 15 minutes of introduction and meeting a literal god until we finally get our main spin ability for this game, and it feels earned. And this is what I love about Galaxy. It'll get to the usual Mario hopping around, but not without taking its time, building tension, and having me feel actual emotion for a freaking star by the end of the game. Contrast that entire opening, the Star Festival, the attack, the lone planet, and meeting Rosalina, to Galaxy 2, where you start the game, walk down a path, and stumble upon the Luma and you get the spin move instantly. What's more appealing to you? This? Or this? Yeah. This?
Go, Mario.
Okay, that's not a fair comparison, Lubba's the man. But Galaxy 1 pulled no punches and set up the world and stakes before getting you to the good stuff. But Galaxy 2 pulls just about every punch it has to funnel you into the first level. Stop looking around and taking it in, go, go, go! Due to the length of the introductions of each game and time it takes to get to the first level, it's clear that the main priority here was to get them dang kids to the Yahooing as fast as possible. And you can't blame them. Right around when Galaxy 2 came out, Mario Bros. Wii just sold a freaking gross amount of copies. So it's clear that they try to take aspects from that game and incorporate them into this one, which is responsible for, I don't know, everything I find wrong with this game. Remember the Comet Observatory that was Rosalina's home and housed all the levels, explaining how we even get from galaxy to galaxy? That was home to a heart-touching story that gave her a backstory and came with a clever themed mission select screen? That, here's a linear level select screen, and ew. Each new area you unlock is called a world now, like from the 2D games. But where in that game it makes sense because you're visiting different worlds, in Galaxy 2 it's confusing as balls. You're saying these are worlds, but the levels inside these worlds are different galaxies? Look, I'm no Mushroom Kingdom scientist or anything, but this place has some bonkers physics.
Oh my gosh. The star's in here.
Remember Rosalina's heart-touching optional story from the first game that fleshed out the world you live in, made freaking death canon to the Mario universe, and made you actually feel something by the end of the game? Were you looking for Mario Galaxy 2 to carry over that story? Sucks to suck, because Galaxy 2 is the same story without the story. Cutscenes gone, introduction gone, no story, all gameplay. Basically anything from the first game that got in the way of the gameplay, they cut it. But you might be asking, aren't Galaxy 2 and Mario Bros. Wii two very different games? Wouldn't it be kind of foolish to take elements from a 2D casual Mario and shove them into a big 3D one? Well, it is a bit more complicated than that, but yeah. Although I do have some problems with how they decided to take the gameplay in this one, most all of that could probably be ignored if they didn't ignore the story. Cause where it stands, Galaxy 1 is not a perfect game. It's got its issues, many issues. But it's one of my favorite games of all time, not just due to the great levels and gameplay, but because it feels different. It's cinematic, intense. It feels like this time, this one means something. So when you make another Galaxy game and slap a 2 on there, it makes me think they'll continue the story somehow. They don't. It's basically an alternate universe telling of the first game, only in this universe, storytelling is outlawed. It basically ignores the first game, pretending it doesn't even exist, but expects me to be engaged. Besides the fun levels, there's nothing else here. Nothing for me to sit and ponder on, like in the first game.
I think I suck at the sling pods.
So on a fundamental level, due to the direction they took the game, I simply cannot connect with it like I did the first. So Galaxy 2 opts to skip all that useless story and cutscenes and jump you straight into the levels. But to be fair, these freaking rule. I love Galaxy 1's levels with all my heart. It's like a son to me. But Galaxy 2, well, it's your cool uncle. This is the first game's ideas in Galaxies, but perfected. Running and jumping around has never felt so smooth, and it's nice to just be back in the Galaxy gameplay yet again. And the visuals, don't even get me started. Dang! There's just something about how space looks around you as you run around on the planets that will never not blow me away. The graphics are as gorgeous as ever in 480p resolution. Yeah, Nintendo straight refused to port this game to the Switch, forcing people to use an emulator, but I don't see why that's such a big deal. I don't know how, but on my Wii, Galaxy 2 ran perfectly at 1080p 60 FPS. On an emulator. On my PC because they won't port it to the Switch. And getting from level to level, besides this blasphemy, is really fun due to Galaxy 2's hub world, Starship Mario. It's something I've come around to because at first I thought it was a huge downgrade compared to the Comet Observatory. But why pit the two against each other? Each hub fits their own game. Like in 64 and Sunshine where Peach's Castle and Isle Delfino lent itself to their games' respective gameplay, Starship Mario is a big ol' Mario head where you can get used to the gravity, walk around, talk to people, and it's just a great break in between levels. And considering everything they removed from the first game, I'll take all the breathing room I can get. As the game progresses world to world, the scenery around you and the level select changes with it. Now I was ready to put my Wii out a window if these great skyboxes didn't translate over to the Starship Mario, and I'm happy to say it very much does. Thankfully, for my Wii's sake. It gives each world a great vibe, and getting a brand new, awesome looking skybox in the Starship Mario is a huge breath of fresh air every time you get a star. And holy man, these skyboxes are drop dead gorgeous. I found myself sitting and staring at these way longer than any human should feel comfortable doing so. The hub itself may seem small, and to be fair it kinda is, but they definitely waste no space here. As you progress level to level, more peeps from your adventures will show up, along with items you just discovered, making the station feel more and more alive. On the main captain's section of the hub, you got your steering steering wheel that takes you to the level select screen. You have Lubba, who's a boss. At first I was frankly offended he was our replacement over Rosalina, who they kinda just brush aside in this game, but Lubba won me over fairly quickly. He'll give you hints and passively aggressively judge you every second of your adventure. And he's always got something to say about a new addition to the ship. I mean, come on, look at him. He's Lubba. We like Lubba. But along with him, we also have a banking toad where you can deposit and withdraw star bits. And hey, this toad does a better job holding on to your money than the US banking system does. There's also a mail toad like from the first game. He'll deliver you letters from different people. If it's an extra star you can go grab, to a mystery person who's looking after the Lumas. I wonder who that could be. Or even Princess Peach will write to you fairly frequently and give you one-ups. I always thought it was funny how Peach is sending you letters while she's kidnapped, as if Bowser knows and just doesn't care. Overall, Galaxy 2 plays and feels like a charm. Levels just feel beefier this time around, with everything feeling fine-tuned and superbly crafted. And with these great skyboxes in the level select, I was excited to see how the levels themselves would look. And I can happily say that these galaxies are out of this world. There's a wide open beach with a bright blue sky, a galaxy where everything's gigantic with great platforming and a bright blue sky, a frozen over lake with dense fog, and when it's finally uncovered, you're surrounded by a bright blue sky? That's it. For having galaxy in the name and being set in freaking space, there sure is a lot of blue in this game. Where in the first game it wasn't afraid to thrust you into the dark depths of space with melancholic music and make you contemplate all your past sins. Freaking half of these levels are bright blue, bubbly, happy, and I hate it. This doesn't feel like Mario Galaxy. This feels like Mario Ozone Layer. Now let me point out, there's nothing wrong with a bright blue cloudy backdrop. It's really pretty and goes well with swimming and beach galaxies. Shoot, those are some of my favorite levels from the first game. But man, in Galaxy 2, every single one of these is bright and blue. Out of the 36 main levels, not including boss fights, 19 of these are bright blue cloudy skies. Yes, I counted. Yes, I should be medicated. This is Mario Galaxy. Do you know how much crazy cool looking stuff is in regular space? Think about Mario space. I want to see freaking bonkers backdrops, Aurora Borealis, supernovas exploding in the background. That's something I can look out my window and see every day.
Oh my gosh. Boring.
Now, considering each world in the level select screen has its own sky backdrop, I figured that explains why World 1 has so many bright blue skyboxes. We're just starting this adventure, and it was a good tool to show we're finally entering space and leaving the atmosphere. So when you enter this new world and was greeted with deep colors of black and green with somber music playing, I was so excited. What were these new levels gonna look like? How would they use this backdrop to its fullest potential? 5 out of the 6 levels were blue and sunny. Now I know what you're saying. MeMelon, isn't it super nitpicky and frankly really weird you care this much about skyboxes in a Mario game? And to that I confidently say, yeah. Look, at the end of the day, it's not really a big deal that the sky is blue, but when it comes to yours truly, I'm a big vibe and feel guy. And when you put Mario in space and had an entire game before this one showing how cool the atmospheres and skies can be, and then promptly rip most of that out and replace it with blue clouds, I'm gonna let my obnoxious voice be heard. But that isn't to say it's just blue skies, because when Mario Galaxy 2 flies, it freaking soars. Sweet Mystery Galaxy has beautiful red and blue colored galaxies in the background. Flip Swap Galaxy has a great contrast of dark and light blues that are gorgeous and super enjoyable to look at in between me repeatedly falling to my death. Looking at the box art compared to the first, it's not like this was something they were ashamed of. The box reflects the amount of blue skies and clouds you'll find in this Mario Galaxy game. A lot. And to be fair, most of these levels do go really well with the style of backdrop, and they do switch it up every once in a while too. Hightail Falls Galaxy is bright and blue, but with sprawling waterfalls in the distance. Flipsville Galaxy is cloudy, but has an early morning feel with different shades of purple. It just feels like although there are some really cool looking levels, the potential you have with not only being space, but also a sequel, just feels like they could have done so much more beyond 19 variations of blue and cloudy. But I'm not saying that blue skyboxes are some crime against humanity that ruins the game for me. This is very much just a pet peeve, so hopefully nobody gets the wrong idea. Man, but enough about the skyboxes of these levels. No one else should care nearly as deeply about them as I do. What new stuff did this game bring to the party? See, with Galaxy 2 being a sequel and all that, just being a reskin of the first game with no additional content would not have cut it. This isn't Pokemon here, guys, so what new stuff does Galaxy 2 bring to the table?
Yes!
Whoa. The first big addition you'll notice is, oh my god, what is that? And also Yoshi's in the game. Ride this little lizard all around, where he can eat enemies, grapple flowers, and boy, he handles so much better than Sunshine. And hey, there's no boats you have to sit on for 10 minutes either. He also doesn't disintegrate when he touches water. Man, Sunshine was weird. And Yoshi doesn't come without his performance-enhancing drugs either. He can eat different power-ups to make him run really fast, glow in the dark, inflation. Although these are some weird choices for power-ups, these are super creative and really fun to use. The 3 levels that they're in. Listen, at the end of the day, I think Galaxy 2 justifies its existence. Barely. I'll always have fun with Galaxy's gameplay, no matter what, and the additions they make are really fun. But it is quite obvious that this was an expansion of levels slapped together with a few gimmicks to warrant the 2 on the box. Yoshi is really fun and cool when he shows up. See, the biggest issue I think I have with Galaxy 2 as a whole is that it feels like it brings a lot of cool new ideas to the table and does a whole lot of nothing with them. What Mario games as a whole do best is introduce a new gameplay idea or feature, expand on that idea, and then give it a twist later on. But with Galaxy 2, there's so many power-ups and gameplay modifying items introduced and from the last game that you're straight up choking Mario with all the mushrooms he has to eat. The Fire Flower, Rock Mushroom, Cloud Flower, Bee Mushroom, Boo Mushroom, Spring Mushroom, Dash Pepper, Blimp Fruit, Bullberry.
Stop! I'm so f***ing high.
So after what feels like forever getting introduced to all this cool new stuff, you're finally ready for them to throw all these cool mechanics into the blender and make some great levels. The game ends. Compared to the 32 levels from the original, Galaxy 2 sports 42 levels. Now at first that sounds like it has to be an upgrade, right? But in the first game, there were upwards of 5 different missions for each galaxy, not including bonus stars, utilizing the different areas and backdrops, or even telling a mini story throughout all the missions. It had the 1-star gimmick galaxies, but not only were those really creative and fun in their own right, it complemented the beefy galaxies even more. But in Galaxy 2, these galaxies usually only have 1 mission, with sometimes having a side gimmick like a race or purple coins. So by the end of the game, after I beat all the regular missions and then some, I was desperately looking for an extra star just so I could get to the final level. It sucks because this game ditched all the story to hit the ground running. You get Yoshi in the 2nd level, and right out of the gate, we're shown all his moves, abilities, and shoot, even a boss fight. I was so excited to see what they do with him next. You don't see him until 7 levels later. Not stars, mind you, levels. And there's only 42 in the base game to begin with. A lot of times, it would be so long since using a Yoshi that when I would stumble upon one in a level, I was reminded he was even in the game. If my math is correct, he only shows up in about 9 levels throughout the whole game, with most of them introducing his power-ups or only being in brief sections. It's not that he's a bad addition, it's that he's a great addition, but never gets to be fully fleshed out properly. And my problem with Yoshi just about sums up all my other problems with this game as a whole. All these additions are really cool, none of them miss the landing, but although Galaxy 2 shines bright in some areas, it's a mean case of quantity over quality here. There's so many new additions, from new power-ups, new gameplay mechanics, sliding, flying, mechanics from the older games like the rolling ball, old power-ups, that there's so much going on here that none of these are really fleshed out to their fullest potential. And the level that showed me just how good this game could have been is the Starshine Beach Galaxy. This is one of my favorite galaxies in the entire game. And shoot, it even has a bright blue backdrop. This level is wide open, and as you explore the islands, you get to use Yoshi and 2 of his power-ups to move around. One to get a 1-up, and the other to go really fast over the water. And in the other star, you get to use the new cloud power-up. These give you floatier jumps, and 3 clouds you can use to jump around. And man, this is one of those levels where Galaxy 2 just clicked for me. Using different power-ups to traverse the map, with everything working in tandem with one another, makes me wonder why they didn't do more levels like this. Because Galaxy 2's gameplay is fun. Its highs hit just as high as the first game, but when you gut the story and focus solely on the gameplay, I'm gonna expect a bit more from the game. But where I can say Galaxy 2 excels is the freedom it gives you inside the levels. Outside might be a different story, but inside, even though these are course clear levels, you're still given a great deal of freedom with your movement. There's nothing I love more in a Mario game than being given a fun moveset and being told to get from A to B. How? Freaking figure it out! It's why I love Odyssey and parts of Sunshine so much. Curated levels specifically made to be played a certain way can be cool, but being given the freedom to break those rules and forge your own faster, albeit sometimes completely harder path is super rewarding for me. I'm always on the lookout, finding any and all shortcuts I can to cheese a level. If it's long jumping over certain sections, backwards long jumping into a wall kick with a spin to get to a high ledge, when I pull these self-made obstacles off, cutting between platforms or skipping a section completely, I feel really smart and cool about it. And sometimes that doesn't quite happen. But regardless, I found Galaxy 2 was full of these little self-made obstacles I can make for myself. Sometimes it does funnel you through the level, wanting you to complete it a certain way with a little room for experimentation, but more times than not, it gave me the freedom to breeze through some of these sections and go off the beaten path. And every once in a while, I was even rewarded for it. Take the Freeze and Burn Galaxy. You're supposed to sit on this platform where it turns into an auto-scrolling level, aka my worst nightmare, but they place a cloud mushroom on a platform, where with some well-placed long jumps and spins, you can just cheese this entire section. It also leads to like the coolest boss fight with the most creative combat that's a great expansion from the boss from the first game. And sometimes the game lets you get outside the boundaries, giving you extra lives, star bits, or coins. And although none of these are super useful, it's just nice that the developers put in the time to acknowledge the fact that, wow, this bozo actually put in the time and effort to get here. Overall, although there are lots of things about Galaxy 2 that don't quite do it for me, make no mistake, this is still one great game that's super creative and inspired. I just think instead of going balls to the wall and having, what, 10 power-ups in this game, and a brand new playstyle with Yoshi, they should have either focused on a few of the power-ups to fully flesh them out, or make more bigger levels like Starshine Beach to incorporate them more. But the fundamental problem here isn't the overstuffed gameplay or the lack of the story. It's the blue skyboxes. I'm kidding, it's the lack of story. The first game struck such a chord with me, not just when I grew up, but even now, because of its story. And shoot, Galaxy 2 is the game I have the most kid nostalgia for, but this game is really just Galaxy more, and not a proper sequel in my opinion. I think there's a version of this game in my head, or even just another Galaxy sequel, that could be another one of my favorite games of all time, that fully flesh out these great new mechanics they added, better utilize the space setting, and kept the same tone and story as the first game. But for what Galaxy 2 is, I appreciate, because maybe my dream of the perfect Galaxy sequel is exactly that, a dream. But isn't that what looking into the stars is all about? Dreaming? Well, I'll stop being corny. I don't want to take your breath away. Wow, that was cheesy. I'm sorry. Sorry. What's going on? I'm spacing out right now. What is up with these space puns? I'm really killing the atmosphere. Oh my god, this isn't a comedy. Oh my goodness, I can't stop. Please, somebody help. I can't maneuver this.